May the force stay with you.
Wow, it's day 55.
Yes, it is. It's business as usual.
With an asterisk. With
Stay
Mike and
safe
Mary.
out there.
Yeah. Hope you keep working, keep earning, but do it safely. And that's our message for this week. What are some of the things that we have learned actually by being forced? That's where may the force stay with you. By being forced to adapt during this pandemic, this isolation, this social distancing. What are some of these lessons and things we've adapted and improvised that are going to carry over once this is over?
And why is that important? Because if we know where we're going to end up, we can position ourselves to get there now. Remember that book that Floyd talked about a bunch of years ago? It was a bestsellers list.
What was it called?
It was called Who Moved My Cheese?
And Floyd wrote the sequel. Who cares? We don't care who moved it. We just want to know where it is.
Right.
For sure. And you know, the premise of it was, once the landscape changes, then people go back to where the cheese used to be instead of going to where it is.
And then end up failing. So if you can figure out where that cheese is going to be when we get out of this quarantine, and by the way, we can, then you can position yourself to take full advantage of that. That's what today's about.
Here's an example from the Twin Cities.
All right.
One of the famous restaurants here in Twin Cities is called Donatelli's.
They do pizza, spaghetti.
Great Italian restaurant. And, you know, when all the restaurants shuttered, people thought, oh, the poor servers, the poor people who work in the kitchen, they're never going to get any tips. So,
and that has happened to a large extent all over North America.
And then drive-thrus opened. And Donatelli's opened their drive-thru window, of course, and they took orders by phone. And my friend went through the process, ordered dinner, and gave him an extravagant tip, thinking, you poor kids are missing out on all your tips. And they said, oh no, we're doing better than ever. In fact, we have to cut orders off at 6 o'clock in the evening because we're getting 300 orders a day just through our drive-thru. And in fact, when the restaurant reopens, that's going to be a secondary part of our business. The primary part is going to be what's been working for us now. Kind of an interesting pivot by someone in an industry that said, I'm not going to worry about where the cheese used to be. I'm going to where the cheese is now.
So how do we apply that to your real estate business? There's an awful lot of realtors out there that are saying, oh, can't wait till this is over and things get back to normal. You got to decide right now, there's not going back to normal. That's not going to happen. We're going to have a new normal, but how long will it be before people are comfortable letting others walk through their home? How long will it be before people are comfortable, in groups of people? So we might as well adjust to that now.
If you think about the Wickman training you've received, where Floyd says, on the way to their house at the listing appointment, say to yourself, I'm not going over to see if I can get it.
I'm going over there to see if I even want it.
We're not going over.
Yeah.
We're staying put and connecting via video conference. So how's your video conference game with the listing side? And Floyd also taught us, come into the office with every buyer. Most of us don't even have an office anymore, not a brick and mortar office to go to. You might have a home office, but how's your game with your first buyer qualifying interview?
So there's a place that you are going to settle in, right? There's going to be buyers that are comfortable, perfectly comfortable meeting you at a house, sellers that are perfectly comfortable letting you walk through that house. On the other hand, to get the most business, you also need to virtualize at least a part of your business so that you don't miss out on houses that don't want you to walk through until after there's a contract. And you don't miss out on buyers that don't feel comfortable walking through a group of houses and will only see one, or maybe even allow you to do a virtual tour. Same with listing. The more virtual you are, the wider your market, the more you're going to appeal to those sellers who won't list now unless they can find a virtual agent to do it safely. And that's you.
That's a great point. It isn't just so much that you save time by doing things virtually.
Although you do.
Yes, of course you do. But by doing things virtually, you're appealing to that group of people who are still scared by the pandemic. And that's going to be a hangover for quite a while for some people, not for all. But for some, psychologically, the damage has been done.
Hey, we just met a gentleman who works for Delta Airlines that is furloughed till next March.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? That tells you the executives of a major American corporation are saying, yeah, people aren't going to want to get into planes and travel as frequently as they did last January. And we expect that'll take at least until March. Now, obviously, I've not spoken to the president of Delta, but what's the conclusion you would draw if you're taking people that are normally in an airplane and saying, hey, we'll call you back in March of next year? Time to adjust their business. Time for us to adjust ours.
We've just spent 2 weeks working with all the people in our R² coaching program to upgrade their PowerPoint listing presentation and their PowerPoint buyer qualifying interview.
Right.
And take a look at yours. Add some dense images to it. Add some graphics to it. Maybe you even use one of those web services like Fiverr, Fiverr.com, to upgrade your look.
Right. Be ready to virtualize. And I think what you might find out is it's not as bad as you thought. It might save you time. It certainly is going to have a more broad appeal. And it could just be that you get used to doing that. What if you could CTO a buyer effectively and then use that CTO to build relationship just the way you do when you are live and in person?
How's your visual presentation? Remember, picture's worth $1,000.
Dollars.
See you tomorrow.